Hello everybody and welcome back to a weekly wellness update. This is going to be part 3, I suppose, of my insulin chat. I've done 2 videos so far talking about my insulin levels now versus what they were back when I was very keto, low carb, and my thoughts around it. My worldview has really changed a lot, and in those 2 videos, I kind of talk about that shift, going from thinking as low of an insulin as possible is ideal to now realizing that that's not a whole picture, and that having a little bit higher insulin does not necessarily mean a little bit less health. I actually am experiencing so much more health now than I was when my insulin was super low. And again, I will reiterate that I don't think the low insulin caused my health problems. I'm just reckoning with the fact that achieving a very low insulin did not resolve all of my health issues. I had to do other things in order to resolve those health issues, and doing those other things caused a slight increase in my insulin. And in my worldview now, I'm not concerned about it because my goal is health. My goal is not a super low insulin number. And because I'm experiencing health with a slightly higher insulin number, but still not, super high or insulin resistant in any way, I am very happy with where I'm at in my health and not worried about pushing my insulin down as low as possible again. So if you haven't seen those other 2 videos that I did where I expound more on all of that and give you like the exact numbers and everything, definitely watch those videos first. And this video is going to be responding to some of the questions and comments that I got on those videos. I got so many questions and comments, and so I'm actually probably going to make at least a part 4 of this chat about insulin, because I got so many good questions that I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all of them. I literally printed 3 pages of questions I could talk about, and I think I'm probably going to get to maybe 5 or 6 total in this video, if that. So there will probably be more chats about insulin and addressing those questions in future videos. This video today is sponsored by Element. So I think that my health journey has been a process of finding all kinds of different pieces to my health puzzle. And one of those huge pieces has been getting my electrolytes in balance. I was thinking about this, thinking that all these different diets, supplements, programs, things like that, it's kind of like they're trying to sell you a finished puzzle, or a puzzle that just has one piece. And I have found myself that has never been how it worked, but I do get a lot of different pieces, and over time I get certain pieces into place and am slowly making my full puzzle of health, and I'm getting closer and closer to that. I mean, it's always an ongoing journey, so I don't know that you ever fully arrive, especially because the puzzle is changing as you age. Anyways, the analogy breaks down. But one really big piece to my health puzzle that I got into place a few years ago now is electrolytes. I did not realize how chronically dehydrated I was, but when I started consistently supplementing with electrolytes is when I really saw some benefits to my health, and getting that piece of the puzzle in place has been huge for me. The biggest benefit that I noticed right away was I didn't have to get up throughout the night and go to the bathroom multiple times. Usually I just sleep through the night all the way now, or maybe get up once, but my sleep has definitely benefited from getting my electrolytes in place. And my favorite electrolyte supplement to use is Element. They use a science-backed ratio of electrolytes, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. And I will usually take 1 or 2 packets of Element per day, and that helps me feel my best. It helps me sleep really well through the night, and it's really easy to remember to take because it does taste so delicious. So if you are interested in giving Element a try to see if maybe it's one of the pieces of your health puzzle, you can get a free sample pack to try 8 of their regular flavors. It looks just like this. All you have to do is use my link. My link is drinkelement.com/indigo, drinklmnt.com/indigo. Click that link, place an order for anything on their website, and you will automatically get this 8 stick sample pack added to your order, no charge. Now getting into the questions I got on my videos about my insulin. And the first one was about blood glucose. So I will say this again, I said it at the beginning of my last video. When I was talking about my insulin going up, I was talking about a fasting insulin test. And that is a very different test than an A1C test. A lot of people kind of get those two confused. They are related, but they're actually testing something very, very different in the body. And they have a different range of, good or bad results. So you can't, conflate the two numbers. So in those videos, I talked about my fasting insulin numbers, but I got some people asking how my blood glucose is now. So talking about something different, but again, related. And so there were a couple of questions. One from Cat Lady. I'm curious how your blood glucose is. Is it within ideal range? And then also from Loves Coffee and Tea, were you pre-diabetic in the past? My last A1C that I got done at the same time as I got my last fasting insulin test, it was at a 5.3. And during my time keto, low carb, basically throughout my entire adult life that I've ever gotten my A1C tested, it has been between, I think the highest I ever saw it was 5.6 maybe. So still in a healthy range, but starting to get, closer to that pre-diabetic range. I never have been officially diagnosed with pre-diabetes. So I, at the very highest, and this was not when I was keto, was probably about 5.6. The lowest I've ever seen is 4.8. And that is when I was very low carb and keto. But I do remember getting a 4.9 at one point when I wasn't keto. So my blood glucose, my entire adult life has always been, or my A1C results have always been in a healthy range. And that was one of the light bulb moments that I kind of chatted about in my last video about insulin, that I was operating with the idea that I had blood sugar dysregulation, that I had insulin resistance, and that I was metabolically, deranged. And I don't really think I ever have been, at least not severely, and at least not since I first started changing my diet and lifestyle. Back when I was a teenager and I was eating the standard American diet and I was about 20 or 30 pounds heavier than I am now, I'm certain that if I had gotten all my tests done at that point, I probably would have had high insulin. I probably would have had high blood sugar, high A1C. Of course, I wasn't getting all those blood tests done when I was that age, so I can't look back and see. My guess is that I probably was because of, how I felt and the extra weight that I was carrying and all of that. But since I went on the Atkins diet when I was 19 and throughout my whole health journey of, I did all kinds of different diets, but they were all in the range of healthy. I did paleo and Weston A. Price and GAPS and keto and low carb. And I've done all the things, but they all, through that whole time, I never got an A1C that was out of range. So again, that was one of my light bulb moments where I was like, why am I operating as if I have diabetes or prediabetes or insulin resistance or metabolic derangement when maybe I don't? Maybe that's not what's causing the issues that I'm experiencing. So my A1C, my entire adult life, has been between 4.8 and 5.6-ish. And so 5.3 is right there in the range. I'm happy with it. I'm not worried about it necessarily trying to force it to get lower or anything like that. I do plan, same as with my insulin, I do plan on getting it tested regularly. And if I do see it continue to creep up, obviously that would be a sign that I need to make some changes. But where it is right now, I'm very happy with it. So the next set of questions are kind of related, and there's actually kind of two themes. So I want to go through both of those themes. So the first comment is from Tom Smith. Says, your carbs went up, your insulin went up, your ketones went down. Dare I ask, did your weight go up? And are you satiated? So that's the first question. And those are the two themes. Did your weight go up and are you satiated? And then relating to the are you satiated, this question was from Claire Louise. She says, I'd be really curious to know if you're having cravings now. I'm one of those who do keto to help stop the food noise, and I'm afraid that more carbs would bring that back. And then one more comment related from YBE7011. My problem with eating carbs, anytime I try to see if I can, especially anything sweet, I end up in the weeds and gaining. All I want is sweet. I have no control. Then I go back to strict carnivore. Okay, so those are the three related comments, and I want to address the weight first from Tom Smith saying, your carbs went up, your insulin went up, your ketones went down. Dare I ask, did your weight go up? So I did do a video about this probably a month or two ago, and it was, my weight has done after adding 100 to 200 grams of carbs per day. And what I said in that video still stands. I'm basically sitting at the higher end of my range that I've been for the last 6 years. So even when I was keto, I would go between this range. I've definitely been lower, but didn't stay lower for very long. The lowest I've gotten in the last probably 6 years is when I was doing alternate day lean days and then higher fat keto days. And I got down a lot lower, but I found it wasn't sustainable for me to continue to eat that way in order to keep the weight lower. And then I started dealing with all kinds of other health problems that got in the way of me being able to do that. And in the last year, once I found out I was hyperthyroid, which that is resolved now, but once I found that out a year ago, I realized that I needed to just focus on getting my health under control and not focus on weight loss. I know that for certain situations, when people are dealing with a lot of weight, the two goals of health and weight loss are like the same thing. Like anything that gets you to lose weight is going to take you on that journey of health. I found for me that the place that I'm at, where I have, about 20 pounds that I would like to lose, that I could lose and still be in a really healthy range, I have found that when I push my body to lose that weight, my health actually goes down. And that's why I'm always trying different things to lose weight, because I'm like trying to find a way to work with my body to lose the weight but maintain my health. So I say all that because I know it sounds weird to say I put weight loss on the back burner for health gain, when a lot of people see those as the same thing. Where I am at in my journey, I don't see them as the same thing at this point. It was really clear to me when all of these issues became apparent that I needed to just focus on nourishing my body, building muscle, getting my hormones under control, and then maybe at some point in the future, I would think towards doing something more to push for weight loss. But I'm not in that place right now. So all that to say, I am maintaining my weight at kind of the higher end of the range that I've been in for the last 6 years. So obviously, as someone who has dealt with body image issues and dealt with being overweight in the past, more than I am now, it's a mind game. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like there's definitely times where I'm like, I have to do something to get this number down. I still have those internal thoughts. Thankfully, I don't act on them as quickly as I used to. It used to be felt like a life or death type thing, where it's like, I have to do something right now or else XYZ terrible thing. And I was kind of in that fight or flight mentality about it. So I still do have those thoughts that come into my mind, but I feel like I'm at a much more healthy place to think through those thoughts logically and tell myself the things that I just already mentioned, that weight loss and health gain are not exactly the same track for me right now, and recognize how good I feel with my health right now. And if I did try to push for weight loss, it might, mess some of that up, and I don't want to lose the health that I have gained. So I'm just much more slow and methodical about making decisions. but I am still human. I still do struggle with, oh, I don't want this extra fat on my body. I need to do something about it, but I feel like I'm healthy enough to deal with those thoughts in a more productive way. So hopefully that answers the question about, my weight, but if you want more details, you can go back and watch that video that I did before about, it was all about my weight and adding carbs. Okay, now on to the food noise, satiation, and cravings. This one is really, really interesting to me because I also had the idea that if I cut out carbs, I would not crave carbs. And I found that it's true for me in a certain way. There's a certain way in which I don't crave carbs when I cut them out completely. But there's also a certain way that I do crave carbs when I cut them out completely. And I have found that now where I'm at with eating a stable level of carbs every single day, my food noise and my cravings are like zero. It's actually pretty amazing. So it's like, I had this idea that the level of carbs would equal the level of food noise. And so the more carbs you eat, the more food noise you have. The fewer carbs you eat, the less food noise you have. And I have found that to be not the case at all for me. This is my own experience, and I know everyone's experience is going to be different. So I am not trying to tell anybody that they have to do what I do or that they will get the same result that I have gotten from doing the things that I do. And I'm not saying that you haven't achieved success in dealing with your cravings and your food noise by doing something completely different than what I am doing. All I am doing is sharing my own personal experience of my own food noise and cravings journey. So now looking back, and this is one of those things that hindsight is 2020, I recognize that for a lot of times in my keto journey, my food noise was very high. And I didn't really realize it, or I didn't really acknowledge it. I've talked about this before about like these health blinders that I have had in the past where I dismissed certain symptoms and things because I thought that my diet was the perfect right diet and therefore those things shouldn't be happening. So I'm going to ignore them and pretend like they're not happening. But now that I am kind of like outside of that and I can look back on myself and the journey that I've been through, I see that I really had a lot of food noise going on while I was on a keto diet. And it manifested in, eating too much dairy. It manifested in just wanting to continue to eat. It was like my body was not satisfied in a certain way, and it caused me to just want to keep eating. And so I would keep eating keto foods, things that I was supposed to eat on my keto diet, but I wasn't getting satiated in a certain way. And I have found that certain way that my body craves satiation is from a certain amount of carbs. And I have to just put this out here. I don't have the worldview anymore that carbs are evil and bad and poison and all carbs are created equal and they're all terrible. I don't think that. I recognize that there are a lot of people that do think that, and I do get comments from those people letting me know that. But I don't have that worldview. So if you try to argue with me with that worldview, it's not going to change my mind because I have a different worldview. My worldview is about nutrition, about macronutrients, is that carbs are good for humans. Obviously, there are ways in which they can be used badly and they can do harm. Certain forms, certain carbs that come with other things, certain amounts, eating way too much of a certain thing, having just so many carbs and not enough of other things. There's lots of ways that carbs can be part of a problem for people, but I no longer think that humans aren't supposed to eat carbs or that carbs are always bad for people. I have actually found the opposite, that when I eat the right kind of carbs in the right amounts for my body, that my body feels really stable and really, really good. So as far as the question about cravings, I don't have cravings. As long as I'm filling up that amount of carbs, fat, and protein that I need, my body is very, very happy. And I have, it's kind of mind-boggling to me to experience myself dealing with certain foods, because I am at a place now where I can eat a bite of anything, literally anything. And unless I am actually physically really hungry, I don't have the knee-jerk reaction to eat as much of it as I can. I found for myself that that reaction was a direct result of restricting carbohydrates from my diet. And it made so much sense. It makes so much sense to me now that my body needed a certain amount. And when I wasn't giving it that certain amount, as soon as I tasted it, my body's like, you need that. You need that. You need more of that. And my body was used to not getting it. So my body was saying, eat as much of it as you can, because we don't know when we're going to get it again. It wasn't that I was broken or an addict or couldn't control myself or anything like that. It's that my body wasn't getting the baseline of the nutrients and the macronutrients that it needs to feel its best. And when I got a little taste of that thing, all the signals were eat as much as you can. But now that I am giving my body those things, I don't have those signals anymore. I can eat a bite of literally anything. I could eat a bite of the most delicious dessert in the world. And if I wasn't physically hungry at the time, there would not be that knee-jerk reaction to eat everything in the kitchen. So for me, that has been life-changing, seriously life-changing. And making that connection of carb restriction to uncontrollable impulses to eat certain things, huge. So I don't live my life thinking, oh, I'm an addict and I have to stay away from all this stuff because one bite will be the trigger for me to go off the rails. Now, I will say that it was a process to get here. I didn't just go from eating a keto diet to all of a sudden feeling the way that I feel right now. So I had to go through learning how to eat foods again that I hadn't been eating, and I made mistakes along the way, and there were times where I ate too much of a certain thing, since my body was like, eat all of it. It was not just like a light switch flip. It was a journey. But one that I am so thankful that I went on, because the freedom that I feel, the lack of cravings, the lack of food noise, the satiation I have, the level of satiation that I have now, I mean, I'm struggling to put words on it, because as a person who has dealt with lifelong food issues, to have those go away and to be able to enjoy delicious food that I thought that I'd never be able to touch again, it's just like life-changing. That's all I can say, life-changing. So I get that not everybody's at the place that I'm at. I get that not everyone has the same health issues that I have. And I do think that different diets work for different people, different macronutrient amounts work for different people. And as I try to say often, none of the stuff that I share in my videos is meant to be prescriptive for anybody. It is just meant to be descriptive of what I am experiencing. And I always try to say that things could change for me next week. This is a journey. I'm constantly learning. So if you go back and watch my videos from 2 years ago, I'm saying a lot of different things than I am saying right now, because this is a journey and I am changing. And I do get a lot of, flack for that. But it's like, what else can I do except share what I am personally experiencing? And so I say that because what I am sharing now could change. And I can make adjustments to things in the future, and it'll be a little bit different than I'm sharing right now. That's because it's an evolving journey. So if you're interested in continuing to follow along on the journey, definitely subscribe and hang out with me. If you're not, that is totally okay too. And I know that sometimes people have, they have their path figured out. And when someone shares their success or their journey doing something different, it can be a distraction. And so I totally get it if this is, not what you want to be following, and that is totally fine. We all get to make that decision about who we follow and the influences that we have coming in, and I respect that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this video here. I only got through like 3 different topics, although there were multiple questions per topic, so it was more than 3 questions. But anyways, it was not many. I still have a lot to go through, so definitely stay tuned for more of these kind of Q&A chats about your questions about, what's going on with me. So that is it from me for this video. I will see you again in the next one.